Alexa, set corner lamp to 10. Alexa, turn corner lamp off. Alexa, move corner lamp out of shot. Alexa, get everybody watching this video to subscribe and like this video. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video where I give you my top 5 tips when analysing a rent-to-rent deal. Let's jump into it. Tip number 1, have a repeatable process. This is super important. It means that you remove any of the emotive or emotional element of analysing. You might, for example, have some sort of intuitive feel that the deal works. If you go with that, you probably will find yourself taking on something that you were wrong about. However, if you use a repeatable process for every single deal, then the numbers don't lie. Now, there is an exception to every rule, but we have a spreadsheet that we use to analyse every single one of our deals, and as you can see, it's detailed and produces at the end of the day a does the deal stack, yes, no, or could do type scenario, a traffic light system. If a deal doesn't stack, our analysis tells us straight away not to go with the deal. If there is a chance that it stacks, you can see that our analysis says it's looking good. And if it's an absolute ripper of a deal, then we are given a yes on our traffic light system. So straight away, our spreadsheet removes any of the potential emotional decision making that would be dangerous in a situation like this. Tip number 2 is know your market. In any market there is supply and there is demand, and that's no different in the shared room market. The supply is essentially the number of rooms available to let, and demand is the number of people looking for rooms. SpareRoom is the best website for this data. It's by no means perfect, but it is the best that we currently have. We look for specific supply-demand ratios that are characteristics of the London market. You might look for different characteristics, but fundamentally you need to know that there is enough demand to meet the supply. As a very rough rule of thumb, you want to be looking at least where there is a 1-to-1 ratio between supply and demand. Tip number 3, estimate the income at least twice. Well, what do I mean by that? You should have a best and a worst case scenario in terms of the income on the property. If you look at a previous video, which is linked above, you'll see that on our first ever deal, I just estimated best income scenarios, which was a brave mistake. We now look at best and worst case scenario, and we'll use data that we've got from our own business, and we'll also use data from SpareRoom. We need to make sure that even at the worst case income scenario that the deal works. Super important. You need to make sure that there is still income to be made if you can't hit the rents. Tip number 4. Do not forget voids and maintenance. Absolutely critical. Most deals that I've seen do not include an estimation of voids and do not include an estimation for maintenance. Super important that you do that. I'm going to explain to you how to calculate a void. Most people might say, let's just go for 5% voids and think, yeah, that's fine. But what does that actually mean in terms of number of days per room per year that are empty? And is 5% something that is accurate? So if we look at a house with 1 room, over the course of a year, which is 365 days, 100% occupancy or 0% voids would equal to that room being tenanted for 365 days per year, e.g. every single day. If we looked at what, for example, 1 week empty equates to, we would basically use the calculation 7, which is the number of days in a week, divided by 365, which as a percentage is just under 2%. So what that means is in a house with one room, if that room was empty for 1 week, we would be running that property at 2% void or 98% occupancy. Similarly, if we were saying, okay, that one room will be empty for 2 weeks out of every year, that equates to 14 over 365 times 100 to create a percentage, which is just under 4%, 3.84% to be precise. So we looked at our business and said, okay, we think on average we will have 6-month tenancies, and we think that we can turn those rooms around each time within a week, which means we'll have 2 weeks every year where there will be a void, which means we will be operating at 4% voids as a worst case. We've subsequently been able to operate closer to 100% because of our systems, but at least we understand what a void actually is. Now that calculation works however many rooms you've got in a house. You would simply, as a 5-bedroom house, multiply 365 by 5 to work out the total number of rental days per annum, and then use the same calculation to work out what 1% is, or what 2% is, or what 3% is. And it's really important that you understand that, rather than just going with, well, let's just say 5%, which, you know, is bonkers, because it doesn't really, that's not how our minds work. Our minds work on, I think I can get that room re-rented in a week. Tip number 5. Super important. If the deal doesn't stack, walk away. Simple as that. Walk away. Do not try and make a deal work. If you are saddled with a deal that you know in your heart of hearts you've kind of made work, despite having a spreadsheet that removes some of the emotive decision making, it will come back and bite you on the arse. There's absolutely no disputing that. It will come back and bite you on the arse. So there you have it, my top 5 tips. I could probably do a top 10 or even a top 20, and I may well do that in a later video, but for the time being, if you follow those top 5 tips, you will probably not go too far wrong. If you've got any questions or comments, or even if you want the spreadsheet, then please drop a message in the comments below. I'll be happy to share this information and the spreadsheet with you. Thank you very much for watching. As I said earlier, please subscribe, please like, even comment, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.